winning, man. I love winning. You hear what I'm saying?
Round two.
Still winning. Yeah, still winning. Still winning. Yeah, still winning. Still winning. We back at it again. Still winning. Yeah.
Maestro Travis.
I've been winning my whole life. Winning. Taking L's in my life. Winning. I'ma just run up a check. Winning. Belichick. Brady Flex. Winning.
Chapter 4. The rise of the underdog. As Jay trained harder, Ike pushed him not just physically but mentally. He taught Jay how to read opponents and anticipate their moves by watching for subtle shifts in weight or twitching their shoulders. He drilled him on combinations, making him practice until his arms felt like lead. One day, Ike pulled out an old VHS tape of a fight he'd lost in his prime. "Watch this," Ike said. "This is what happens when you fight angry without thinking." Jay watched as a younger Ike charged recklessly at his opponent, landing wild punches before being countered and knocked out. The crowd on the tape booed as Ike struggled to his feet. "I lost everything that night," Ike said, his voice low. "But you," he pointed at Jay, "you're gonna be smarter than that. Smarter than me. And when you get in that ring with Cortez, you'll prove to him and the world that you're not just some punk from the streets. You're a goddamn champion." Jay clenched his fists, his resolve hardening. "I won't let you down," Ike grinned. "You better not, kid." "Now, hit that bag like it owes you money." After the session, they sat on the edge of the ring. Ike, drenched in sweat, spoke quietly. "Kid, you've got more potential than I ever did, but you're carrying a lot of anger at your old man, at the world. That anger's heavy, but if you learn to channel it, it'll make you unstoppable." Jay frowned, wiping sweat from his brow. "And what happens when the fight's over?" Ike hesitated, his eyes distant. "That's where I screwed up. I let the anger burn me out. Booze? Gambling? I had everything and lost it all. I'm telling you this because I don't want you to make the same mistakes." Jay nodded, the weight of Ike's words settling on him. For the first time, he felt like he had someone in his corner, someone who truly understood. Jay's rise in the boxing world came fast, earning him the nickname the Underdog for his gritty style and relentless drive. His first major rival was Victor El Toro Cortez, a cocky lightweight from Mexico who matched Jay's hunger and resilience. Like Jay, Cortez had risen from poverty, growing up in the barrios of Mexico City, where his family struggled to make ends meet. Boxing was not just a sport for him, it was survival, a ticket out of despair. Cortez's confidence wasn't just bravado, it was armor forged in hardship. He had fought his way up the ranks, earning a reputation for his quick hands, mental toughness, and ability to get under his opponent's skin. When Jay and Cortez first clashed, their similarities became a point of friction. Both fighters saw reflections of themselves in the other, but neither was willing to admit it. The fight was brutal, with Jay taking the early rounds. Cortez, however, adjusted his strategy mid-fight, taunting Jay with sharp words in both English and Spanish. "You're just like me," Cortez sneered during a clinch, his voice dripping with disdain. "But I'll never lose to someone who doesn't know what he's fighting for." Jay, fueled by Cortez's taunts, dug deep in the final round, landing a thunderous uppercut that knocked Cortez out cold. The victory was his, but the words lingered, planting a seed of doubt that Jay couldn't shake. Chapter 5. A new love, a new challenge at 25. Jay Wallace had reached the pinnacle of his boxing career. He had fought through the pain, the betrayals, and the scars from his past. Now, as the lightweight champion of the world, he was at the height of his celebrity, but something was missing. The glitz and glamour of being a champion couldn't fill the emptiness that lingered in his heart. That was until he met Ava. Ava was a waitress at a small diner he frequented after his training sessions. She was different from the women who admired him for his fame or his body. Ava didn't know who he was when they first met. She didn't recognize him as the champ, but saw him as a man who needed someone to listen to him. She gave him attention, not just as a fighter, but as a human being. In her quiet, genuine kindness, Jay found something he hadn't felt in years: care. For the first time in his life, Jay felt valued for who he was inside, not just what he could do in the ring. Over time, they became close. He confided in her about his struggles, his past, and his growing sense of being lost. Ava became the one person he could lean on outside the gym, helping him deal with the mental toll of his career. Their relationship deepened, and when she unexpectedly became pregnant, Jay saw his world turn upside down in a way he hadn't anticipated. Being a boxer and now a father to be provided an entire child. Responsibility weighed heavily on him. The emotional strain, paired with the grueling physical, made it difficult for Jay to focus. Ike, Still sober and watching his former prodigy from the sidelines pushed Jay to stay disciplined and stay on top of his game, despite the distractions in his personal life. But it wasn't enough. Jay began to falter in the ring, winning his bouts, but just barely. Most of his victories came by split decision. He couldn't shake the feeling that his mind wasn't fully in the fight anymore. Ava, while supportive, encouraged him to deal with his past, particularly with his family, whom he had abandoned so many years ago. Chapter 6. The call-out Jay had always kept his distance from his family. His mother had moved on and he hadn't heard from her in years. His father, the one person Jay had always wished to connect with, had been absent from his life. But it wasn't until Victor Cortez, his former rival, came into the picture again that everything began to change. After hearing about Jay's history of abandonment, Cortez made a public call-out that shook Jay's world. In an interview with a sports network, Cortez, who had become a popular media personality after his career had dwindled, tore into Jay. He's a coward. A man who runs away from his own family can't build one of his own. And if he's weak enough to abandon his blood, then he's weak, period. The man who was raised by a drunk and can't even keep his own family together isn't a champion in my eyes. His woman needs a real man to hold her down in the bedroom, not some boxer who thinks he's invincible. Cortez's words hit Jay like a wrecking ball. The public attack didn't just sting his pride, it stung his core. He realized that he wasn't just running away from his family, he was running away from the very person he had been all his life. Ava, now pregnant and facing the pressures of their relationship, became his emotional anchor. She encouraged him to face his past, particularly his father, who had never been there for him. She believed that Jay needed to find out the truth, and not just for himself, but for their child. They needed to break the cycle of abandonment. As Jay ascended to the lightweight championship, Cortez resurfaced, not as a rival, but as a commentator and media personality. In interviews, Cortez often criticized Jay's fighting style, questioning his discipline and emotional control. He's a good fighter, Cortez admitted in one broadcast, but champions fight with purpose, not anger. When Cortez publicly challenged Jay's character, bringing up his family history and struggles with abandonment, the rivalry reignited. Cortez's comments were deeply personal. Jay Wallace, he's nothing but a kid swinging ghosts. How can a man who can't face his past call himself a champion? What the world didn't see was Cortez's struggle. Beneath his confident persona lay the pain of a similar upbringing. Cortez had lost his brother to gang violence and had fought tooth and nail to escape his circumstances. His criticisms of Jay stemmed not from malice, but from a belief that Jay was squandering his potential by not addressing his inner demons. Chapter 7. The search for a father with Ava's support, Jay decided to track down his father. His search led him to a shocking revelation. His father was no ordinary man. Jason Wallace Sr., Jay's estranged father, was a Hall of Fame MMA fighter who had traveled the world, reigning as a champion in his prime. He had been one of the most feared and respected fighters in his weight class. Yet, despite his fame and wealth, he abandoned Jay and his mother when Jay was just a child. The discovery stunned Jay. His father, a global icon in the world of MMA, had chosen to leave his family behind despite having the means to support them. When Jay confronted his father, the truth came rushing out in a heated argument. James Sr. had been too focused on his career and too selfish to be the father he should have been. If you want to hear more about the rise of Jay Wallace, subscribe, hit the like button, and turn your notifications on. This story is fictional. The gameplay is Undisputed Boxing Game. We do not own the rights to any music.